Final Fantasy 15. Whether you love it or you hate it, you can't deny the impact that 15 had on gaming as a whole. Back in 2016 before its release, the hype for this game was at an all-time high. They had the Celebration live stream where they showed off the Kingsglaive film as well as the Brotherhood anime, as well as a bunch of other stuff including the release date. And after years of development, multiple console generations and multiple directors, the game was finally closing in. People could barely wait to get their hands on this game. Now, to mark the occasion of the release date and the game closing in, Square Enix gifted us with a multitude of spin-offs and games to occupy our time before the big day. There was of course the Brotherhood anime and the Kingsglaive film, but there were also a couple of other games, mainly the ones I'm going to be talking about today. Two short prequel experiences that I feel many have forgotten about. And to be fair, these prequels were both hard to come by at different points in time. And as the world's biggest 15 apologist, I feel as if it's my duty to showcase these prequel games to everyone, especially since one has been delisted. Luckily, I got it. It's time to take a nostalgia trip back to the past, and learn the story of the forgotten Final Fantasy 15 prequels. Originally a pre-order bonus, A King's Tale is a pixel art beat-em-up set a few years before the events of 15, when Regis was just a young lad. This tale is told in the form of a bedtime story to the young Prince Noctis. He's heard all the stories from his book, and wants something brand new, so Regis tells him a story about his own escapades. While the story itself isn't relevant to the overall plot of 15, it does help show a bit of rapport between Regis and Noctis, which is something that I think was needed more in the game. A King's Tale starts off in the crown city of Insomnia. These first few zones are really just a tutorial to show you the basic combos and how the game works. Going back to it all these years later, honestly, it is way better than I remember. You've got your basic cycle of combos, each which correspond to a different weapon. Enemies also have different weaknesses to certain combos in said weapons, so you're kept on your toes throughout the entire game with a surprisingly great amount of enemy variety, despite the short length of it. The actual animations for these combos are really nice as well. Regis looks flashy, he looks well versed in combat, and just overall looks really cool. What I also find interesting is that during these combo tutorials, Regis says, "I bet you fiends didn't know I could juggle." Now, call me a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but couldn't this reference be to Noctis coming to Tekken 7 and this was a foreshadowing all those years beforehand? Who knows? The air combos themselves are really fun as well, with one air combo allowing you to instantly launch one enemy into another for extra damage, and even after doing that, you can press the dodge button again to leap higher and continue the combo string, either hitting an AoE hit on the ground or a homing strike. Speaking of homing in on our enemies, if you're far away from one, you can actually warp strike towards them, which helps keep the action very fast paced. For a free game that's only an hour long, the mechanics are pretty damn good. There are still some more mechanics you get drip fed later on as well, like the use of magic for example. You'll have access to blizzard, fire, and thunder spells. The longer you hold said spells, the larger the area of effect will be. These spells can also affect the environment, like blizzard freezing water which slows down enemies, or fire igniting pits which do damage to enemies over time. Keeping an eye out for your environment really helps add to the already varied options in combat. The flan in this game as well are weak to different colors of magic, like the red flan being weak to ice for example. And I'm thinking, is this the reason why Noctis hates flan in the main game? This part must have traumatized him as a kid. Regis continues to run through Insomnia, with the demon horde showing no signs of slowing down. And this is where Wescom comes in, the first of Regis's companions. He had his own brotherhood that he traveled with back in his youth. Wescom here seems to be the stand-in for Ignis and Prompto, being the fast-paced, smart strategist. You can summon your allies through an assist type combo. Once you reach a certain amount of hits, you summon them. And if you get more hits after that, you eventually fill the Arminger bar and can unleash a targeted assist attack combined with Regis's own special that pretty much one-shots anything but a boss. As you get more allies and can combo with all of them, this loop of dodging, using different attacks and combos, and keeping your assists up really make for a super engaging gameplay loop. The level finishes off with Wescom and Regis fighting an Iron Giant, with Regis telling Noctis the importance of fighting together. Some foreshadowing there of course. Regis sets the stage with this mysterious villain who is stealing a crystal from Insomnia. The premise completely has Kid Noctis hooked, and he wants to hear more about where the crystal went. Well, it traveled to the lands of Duscae, a region which you get to explore in the main game. The plains of Duscae have a much more vibrant color palette to them, and with this new vibrant color palette brings more enemies to fight. Now it's not just demons you've got to worry about, you've also got the local wildlife to fend off. You've got bees that shoot projectiles that you can deflect or just outright dodge, you've got Garula that charge you aggressively, and more varied colours of Flan to deal with, among many other things. As we continue through Duscae, it becomes sunset, and we encounter another one of Regis' old buddies, Sid. This is the same Sid from Hammerhead, and you'll chat to him a lot in the main game. Seeing him here as a young, snarky dragoon is honestly great. There's something really special about seeing these characters, learning a bit about them and their repertoire with Regis, and then seeing them all grown up in the main game of 15. And now, just knowing a little bit more about their bonds, understanding the importance of it, just enhances Noctis' journey. The end of this level features a crystal, but not the one they were looking for. It's yellow and seems to be charging up. You'll have to fend off enemies until it's fully charged, and once it is, it unleashes the wrath of Ramuh. With other crystals still out there and the villain still on the loose, Regis and co decide to venture into a nearby cave to find the source of the demon outbreak and the thief of the crystal. This cave is the final zone in A King's Tale, and it still has more to give. This zone features some new enemy types, including the Cactuars. These guys function similar to the killer bees, except they are way more deadly, can dodge after one hit, and you need to be actively moving around and deflecting effectively in order to keep your combo streak, your assists and your armature up against them. This final level is where I feel A King's Tale shines most. It throws everything it has at you and it has a really good balance of difficulty. While it isn't the most difficult game in the world, I still think it was a really good challenge from start to finish. It's also in this cave that you'll encounter Clarus, Gladio's father. He's chased some goblins in here and quickly joins Regis and the gang in order to fell whatever evil lurks in here. With him joining the party, you've now got access to your entire kit, all your magical spells, your combo knowledge, and your companions as well as the armature. The game works like a well-oiled machine at this point, with the gameplay loop of getting your combo being super satisfying. Further into the cave is another crystal, but it's green this time. The fight gets super hectic, with so many enemies requiring you to be counter heavy, you'll really be relying on your assists and any openings you can get in order to get the upper hand. It really shows the thesis of Final Fantasy XV, that being brotherhood. Just the fact that you have to rely on your allies so much in order to achieve your goals just shows the bonds between Regis, and those bonds are reflected later with Noctis and his group of fellas. Once the crystal is charged, we are yet again treated to another gorgeous pixel summon animation. With the discovery of the Titan's Crystal, that only leaves one more for the gang to find. The one that they came for in the first place. The final zone in the heart of the cave has you going up against none other than the Tonberries, which not only slow you down when you're near them, but they can outright take you out in a single hit. There's some deadly Koals in the back of the cave too, which counter you, so it's all about the waiting game. Once we get past these obstacles, we finally learn of the true villain behind the theft of these crystals, which is none other than Ultros. This is seriously such a no-brainer. It's really funny, it's great fan service for Final Fantasy fans, and just adds more to his stupid mythos. This, yep, is the final boss, with you needing to cut down all of his tentacles in order to make him lash out, and when he does so, the numbnuts manages to drop rocks on his own head, which stuns him, giving you a chance to deal some damage. This boss fight is just incredibly fun and allows you to use everything at your disposal. Just when Ultros is on the brink of defeat, the blue crystal appears and he tries to drag it towards him to gain the power of the Astrals. You gotta knock it out of his hands and unleash the power yourself, and in doing so, gives you a final, beautiful animation. The crystals have been recovered, Ultros has been defeated, the day saved by Regis and co. The story itself was very short and, like I said, not connected to the main plot, but it was a nice little King's Tale to put Prince Noctis to bed. And with Noctis drifting off to sleep under the protection of Carbuncle, You now have dream battles unlocked, which are basically little challenge arenas for you to. All of this wrapped up in a nice free little package that you yourself can now go download. Yes, no pre-order code required, no PS Plus, hell, it's even PS5 compatible, which is great. Do yourself a favor and just try this game out for free. It's a nice short beat 'em up that just enhances the world and story of 15. And while Noctis drifts off to sleep, something else stirs in his mind. And he'll need Carbuncle to guide him through it. The Platinum demo of Final Fantasy XV is set within the World of Dreams, Noctis's World of Dreams. This is really more of a tech demo, showcasing the beautiful lighting and various types of landscapes you're going to encounter in the main game, but it's still a great adventure nonetheless. This entire demo has this absolutely magical feel to it. Something about the music and the weird effects and manipulation of the environment make the entire experience really feel like you're in a dreamscape. In this dreamscape, you'll also get to do a little bit of combat as you fight the nightmares that plague Noctis. The combat does feel a little bit slower compared to the main game we got, mainly due to the animations with the weapon switching. Apart from fighting nightmares, there's also panels on the floor which activate all sorts of effects, like weather changes and even making astrals appear in the dreamscape. These dramatic encounters of the summons really get cemented in your mind, and then when you see them in the main game, you remember that fateful dream that Noctis had. While the first area Noctis wakes up in resembles the outside world, the second major area is inside a building. Now looking around, I feel like this could have been somewhere within Luna Freya's house. After all, Noctis visited it a lot as a child, and it has a similar architecture to the room we see him in during the Omen trailer. Noctis for whatever reason is shrunk down, and you get to explore this big open area, and it gives you a chance to try out the driving mechanics. Yes, Noctis can transform into a car. The driving is actually a lot more open and forgiving compared to the driving we got in 15, which was strictly roads only until you got the different modes of driving. As you drive around and explore these zones, there are little crystals you can pick up and collect. And once you collect enough, you'll have access to a larger variety of plates, giving you more effects, weapons, and all sorts to experiment with. This is really just to add a bit more direction and gaminess to the Platinum demo, but hey, it helps add a little bit of playability to the game. The various structures you can climb in this room as well are made up of a variety of different books. These books are things like tourist books that show the world, photography magazines. These books showcase the beautiful sights of Lestalem and Altissia and many other places you're going to visit. This is a clever play by the developers so that the players start imagining the journey they're going to have in the full release. After exploring this room, we head outside to one of the major cities, Altissia. Here you can also change the weather, which shows a bit more how the environment is going to interact with you. In terms of the weapons up to this point as well, you've had a hammer, a sword, and some fireworks, which are basically a stand-in for the magic in this game. The Altissia section of the Platinum demo gives you a larger variety of spells to use. Some of these spells are actually exclusive to the Platinum demo. While they aren't anything crazy, they are mainly here to show the capabilities of the engine that 15's running on. But the way that they've done it just adds to the magical feeling of the dreamscape that you're currently in. Once you've had your fill of exploring the dreamscape, it's time to find the exit. A long corridor in which Carbuncle says it's the place where Noctis feels the safest. The place that we land is the Citadel. Here's a fun fact for you, this is the only point in the entirety of 15 in which you can walk around and see a part of Insomnia that isn't being attacked or in ruins. Being able to see the city, albeit a small fragment of it, especially years later, makes the Platinum demo so much more precious. But you know, it's not just all nice views, as Noctis' nightmares manifest into an Iron Giant, and it's up to him to confront them.
No! This one will protect you through your darkest dreams. But remember, Noct, in the world of your dreams, you are king.
I'm not afraid.
The Platinum demo ends with the option to have a true test of 15's combat system. And yes, while it's a little slower, it's pretty much exactly what we received in the main game, albeit in more bare bones form. And to me, this was such a huge highlight of the demo. I spent hours just replaying this fight over and over, squeezing every single bit of game mechanic knowledge out of it so that I was ready for when the game fully released. There's also a platinum plate at the back that allows you to keep fighting the Iron Giant, and when you fight him, he levels up, which makes him stronger, allowing you to try out more mechanics like the Armiger and warp striking to recover health and MP. Once you've had your fill of the Giant, it's time to return to reality, and find the place where Noct feels the safest. The Regalia makes sense after all. It's the one place where it was always just those two. It would become the car that brings them across the world, and ultimately save their lives. This car really was an extension of Regis, and hearing that whenever Noctis is in the car, his father is with him, just really enhances the journey that Noctis goes on. At the end of the demo, Noctis finally remembers Carbuncle, and you, the player, get to choose the name of him. This unlocks Carbuncle as a summon in the full version of Final Fantasy XV, and whatever name you've chosen for him, that's him. This is such a nice personal touch for people who played the Platinum demo back in the day, and the fact that you can't do this anymore just brings me so much sadness. And that's really all there is to the Platinum demo. Mainly a tech demo more than anything, but the small connections, the Carbuncle summon, and the addition of Noctis and Regis' relationship really adds to the overall experience of 15. It's really a shame that this demo is now delisted, especially because it works on the PS5, that's how I replayed it. There's no reason to keep it delisted. I just really wanted to bring light to this amazing little experience. There we have it. The forgotten story of the Final Fantasy XV prequels has been told yet again. If you've got a console, I'd highly recommend downloading a King's Tale straight away. After all, it's free, and who knows when it's going to be gone from the digital marketplace. While the Platinum demo may be lost to time, at least now you know of the small journey Noct and Carbuncle went on. Final Fantasy XV has so many amazing projects to accompany the main game. You can really see that they were trying to paint a bigger picture, even with the small projects like the demo and free little side games. The love and passion the team had for 15 really shines through in all of their projects, and I for one really wish they got to finish those final DLCs. But hey, at least we have the Dawn of the Future novel to read through and learn what could have been. Hope you guys enjoyed today's nostalgia trip back to the world of EOS. Until next time, walk tall, my friends. Oh, and before I go, I gotta remind you to keep shredding. See ya!